Yes, to reiterate the breaking news, Frankie Dettori, who will be riding at Santa Anita from Boxing Day onwards, has announced today that 2023 will be his last season riding. So he has a year to say goodbye to his fans and maybe tie up a few loose ends with one or two smart horses to look forward to next year, Jamie. He always said he wanted to go out at the top. We've seen that before, of course, with the likes of Sir Anthony McCoy. And Frankie certainly is at the top, even at the age of 52.
Yeah, and actually the horse in shock, Kinross, Frankie's relationship with that horse was one of the special subplots of 2022. They both really helped each other, they understood each other, and you got the impression that Frankie really enjoyed riding that horse, as well as the skill that was on shore to help Kinross get the season that he had. So with Frankie Dettori, yes, the ability, the talent is first and foremost, but it's that charisma and charm as well, Alex, isn't it, that has set him apart and marked him out from the jockey crowd.
And of course the ability to stay fit and sound and light enough throughout those years in the saddle, 35 years in the saddle, to continue without it taking its toll, because it is a tough way of life being a jockey, even for those at the very top. And Frankie's ridden, I think, nigh on 3,500 winners in the UK. It's an astonishing tally, and the Hall of Fame entry says a lot, really, because of, you know, to be inducted into any Hall of Fame in any sport whilst you're still at the top of your profession is reasonably unusual.
It is, isn't it? Because the Hall of Fame naturally is quite reflective about a career. And you think of the pool of jockeys who were available to be selected into that. There's premium jockeys, legendary jockeys, and yet Frankie was first in the queue because he's Frankie. And this is something that impacts racing in Britain, but this is big news around the world as well, because Frankie is a big ticket in any jurisdiction that has racing. Can you remember when he went to Canada last year and rode a couple of winners? Yeah. Like, they couldn't believe it, and there was all the funfair around Frankie Dettori being there as well.
And I guess one of the main issues for racing now is how we fill the Frankie void, because Frankie has done so much and given so much to the sport. We don't want to lose him, really, in whatever capacity, because he's propped up the sport sometimes at real times of need.
It's priceless, isn't it, what he's given the sport, beyond what he's done on the track. It's his personality and his vibrant nature which has really helped. But you mentioned something there, that history tells us that jockeys have a certain shelf life to do with what they put their body through, but what they put the mind through as well. Imagine the mindset of riding like that, at that level, for decades now, as Frankie has done. So a superhuman, really, I think you can describe him as.
And also very resilient, because when you look at some of the knocks he's taken over the years as well, right back in the early days, you know, when he was first with Luca Kamani as a child, really, and learning his way in the world a long way from home. If you haven't seen the Dettori documentary, I would fully recommend you watch it, because it's a real soul-searching documentary, and he reveals a lot of himself and his family, which was quite shocking, I guess, at the time. But you look at Frankie, he's had obviously the bans, which have been well documented. At the end of 2012, he lost that lucrative and long-standing position with Godolphin, which would have been a real blow, but he suffered a turbulent time then. But thanks to an enduring friendship with John Gosden, he was like the phoenix rising from the ashes, wasn't he?
I remember that 2012 when he lost the Godolphin job, and at his age then, there was almost a presumption of that's it, career done. And yet, him and, as you mentioned, his friend, mentor and buddy, John Gosden, reinvigorated Frankie to have this extra, not just one chapter, but several chapters that I'm not even sure that Frankie ever thought he'd have, or we ever thought we'd witness. So with him, you think about the support network around him as well, and family is so important, as shone through in that documentary that was out last year.